All right, so today we're diving into something that's been creating a lot of buzz in Ghana, about this whole proposal from the NDC.
Yeah, the no academic fees thing.
Yeah, for first-year students in public universities and also those teacher and nursing training colleges.
It's a pretty big deal, especially since it's a central part of their whole youth manifesto push for the next academic year.
On the surface, it sounds great. Like, who wouldn't want that financial burden lifted, right?
Right, especially starting out.
But there are definitely some different angles to consider here, and we've got some insightful critiques to unpack.
Exactly.
We're going to be looking specifically at what Dr. Paul Appiah Konadu, he's from the Africa Entrepreneurship School, he's got some pretty strong opinions on why this might not be the best approach.
He has, and I think his perspective is really valuable in this discussion.
So our goal today is to lay it all out there for you, the proposal itself, and then Dr. Appiah Konadu's counter-arguments.
Yeah.
So you can really get a sense of the whole economic and educational landscape surrounding this debate.
Yeah, it's a complex issue for sure.
So let's jump right in. Why don't we start with the heart of Dr. Appiah Konadu's argument?
Okay, so his main point is that the bigger problem isn't necessarily the fees themselves, but what happens after graduation.
It's about the job market.
Exactly. He's saying that putting more resources into creating jobs in sectors like agriculture and manufacturing, that's going to be more impactful in the long run.
And he's got some pretty compelling stats to back that up, right?
He does. There was this survey from the Ghana Statistical Service a couple of years back, and it showed that something like 90% of graduates from both public and private universities weren't able to find jobs.
Wow, 90%, that's a massive number.
It is, and it really makes you think, Dr. Appiah Konadu is basically saying, is it really the best strategy to just keep pushing more and more graduates into a system where there aren't enough jobs to support them?
It's a really valid question, and what's interesting is that the NDC has been critical in the past about the free SHS program, right?
Right. They weren't happy about how it wasn't specifically targeted to help lower-income families.
And Dr. Appiah Konadu picks up on that. He points out what seems like a bit of a contradiction here.
Yeah, on one hand, they're against untargeted free education at the secondary school level, but then they're proposing it for at least that first year at university.
So it raises the question of whether their approach to educational funding is really all that consistent.
Yeah, it definitely sparks some debate.
So if getting rid of those first-year fees isn't the solution, then what does Dr. Appiah Konadu see as a more effective way to move forward?
Well, he's really advocating for a multi-pronged approach, first and foremost. He believes in stabilizing the economy as a whole.
That makes sense. It's kind of the foundation for everything else.
Exactly. Then he talks about promoting growth in those key industries like manufacturing and really empowering the private sector to thrive.
And of course, agriculture is always a big focus in Ghana.
Huge. He specifically mentions things like boosting the use of technology in farming, what they call agric mechanization, and also developing the processing side of things, so agric processing.
With the ultimate goal being to create more jobs, especially for young people.
Yes, jobs that are sustainable and can really contribute to long-term economic growth.
He also brings up the massive investment that's already going into the free SHS program.
Yeah.
It's over 3 billion Ghana cedis, right?
That's right. And he's concerned that if all those graduates are ending up unemployed, then that investment isn't really paying off the way it should be.
It really highlights this idea that educational opportunities are only as good as the economic opportunities that follow.
Absolutely. It's not just about getting people through the system. It's about making sure there's something for them to do on the other side.
So that's the core of it.
Yeah.
You've got this proposal to provide immediate financial relief for those entering tertiary education versus this argument that focusing on job creation and long-term economic growth is actually the more sustainable and beneficial path.
It's a fascinating debate, and it really comes down to priorities. Dr. Appiah Konadu is urging those in power to really prioritize creating a stable economic environment as that first crucial step.
So we want to hear from you now, thinking about all this information we've explored about graduate unemployment and these different policy ideas. What do you think is the most effective way to support young people entering the workforce?
Is it just about removing that initial financial barrier of those fees, or are there deeper systemic issues that need to be addressed for real progress to be made?
It's a big question, and we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.